Do you want to know the 5 mistakes as an investor you absolutely should avoid? Well, then make sure to stay tuned and check out this latest video. Hi everyone, Arinzeh here with Onyx Property Team and Keller Williams. Thank you so much for checking out my YouTube channel. I am a London-based property agent and I help my clients buy, sell, rent, and manage properties. So on my YouTube channel, I put out regular weekly videos, so make sure to subscribe and hit that like button and notifications so you don't miss a thing. So in the YouTube channel, I put out a series of various videos where there's talking about lifestyle, living in London, or the things you might be considering if you're relocating to London, why it's so great, things to avoid. I've got fantastic videos on all different topics related to moving and living in London, as well as being an international investor in London. So in today's video, I'm going to be speaking to my international landlords and to give you 5 key mistakes you'll want to avoid. As a property investor myself, I own property here in London as well as in America. I definitely have made some of these mistakes, and I find if some of my clients that I work with, to make sure to help them avoid it, to make their investment more profitable, but also to make the process a lot smoother. So let's dive in. Mistake number 1 you should absolutely avoid is to not know your goal, which is to really understand what is it you're trying to achieve, whether it's capital appreciation or cash flow. Those are typically the 2 things you might want to consider. Or for some investors, it might simply be a place to park money or an alternative investment strategy that allows you to diversify beyond, say, stocks, bonds, gold, anything else. So it's to really be clear in what you're trying to achieve. And the reason that has impact is that might impact the time frame and how long you hold on to something. So for example, if the market is going bumpy over the last few years, as it has been doing in London, it might not be the time to bail if you've taken a long-term strategy of capital appreciation, which might also dictate when you have bought your property. If you're looking for more cash flow, perhaps London might not be the best place to invest, because here yields are typically in the 3 to 4% range, and that yield is the reference to the cash flow you get off of your rental versus your investment. So many investors in London are willing to defer or trade off on yields in order for long-term appreciation, given how well London properties have appreciated over the last 15-20 years. So again, it's really important to know your goal and to be clear on that strategy and to not panic such that if something happens in the interim, you start second-guessing yourself. So if you're clear on the goal, stick with it and stay through to it. The other key mistake you want to avoid as an investor is not knowing the true cost of buying or holding an asset. Whether it's stamp duty, whether it's the implications of recent tax changes, whether it's the different allowances you can get, whether it's mortgage interest, there are so many costs associated with buying a property, and you want to make sure you've adequately budgeted. But not just on the front end in terms of the cost of buying, but also the cost of maintenance. I often work with landlords, and when their property is turning over, there's usually an investment you have to make that property fresh again. But a lot of landlords just think that, oh, if I've had a tenant in for 3 or 4 years, I should be able to command the same rent, if not higher, yet not be willing to do anything to make that property competitive in the local market. So again, making sure you know the cost of buying a property, but making sure you set aside sufficient costs to maintain the property, not just on repairs, but also on improvements when it comes time to turn the property over and to get the next tenant. And if the market has changed, you might still have to invest to make that property competitive, even if rents have come down. And that's certainly the situation right now, given that we've been in the middle of the pandemic. The rental market's been decimated. Tenants have had their run of properties. And so the property you might have gotten away with, marketing at £2,000, £3,000, you might be getting less, and yet you still have to invest to make that property competitive. So make sure you know the true cost of buying as well as maintaining your property to get the maximum rent that the current market can bear. Doesn't guarantee you're always going to get top from what you've always gotten or it's always going to go up, but that the current market will bear. And that leads on to mistake number 3 you should avoid, which is to not know what renters are looking for. So now through COVID, everybody wants outdoor space and wherever they can get it, whether it's the garden or balcony. Make sure that if you are, say, investing now, you consider that. You might want to consider a property that has those features versus one that doesn't, because that's definitely where renters are looking for. Also, perhaps that extra bedroom, because now people are going to be still working from home for the foreseeable future. So people who might have settled for 1 bedroom knowing they'd be out of the house a lot now might need the 2 bedroom, or 2 bedroom might need 3. So if you can perhaps squeeze and get that extra bedroom or be able to dedicate space in the room for that home office, you definitely want to show that off as a feature to what tenants are looking for. Now, if you want more information about what renters are looking for, I've got great videos on that. I'll put a link to one of them above, but you can click in and see what tenants are actually looking for. And then that leads to the 4th mistake that you as an investor should avoid, which is to not know what's going on in the rental market. So as I've mentioned today, we're in the middle of the pandemic still. We've had a loss of international renters, whether it's international students or tourists, all of that, or multinationals that would normally be sending staff over. We lost that over the last year, and that just really decimated the rental market, and rents plummeted because a lot of tenants also went to live perhaps with mom and dad, knowing that they could live further out and not have to live in the city. So it's really important that you understand the dynamics of the market. And in this market, I would highly still advise my landlords to hold on to the tenants that they have. I know we all want to maximize our investment and continue to have that increase, but sometimes you do not want to even give tenants a sniff of a reason as to why they might want to move. And again, if you've got good tenants paying rent, maybe you don't always increase the rent every single year. You want to hold on to those tenants because every month of vacancy, you're actually now trying to catch up in increased rent. So make sure you know what's going on in the current rental market. If you have a property manager like myself, I can always be advising you. We're always giving out our landlords, updating them, especially when it comes time to do a renewal and making sure we can either keep the tenants we have or attracting the best new tenants. And finally, the 5th mistake as you as investors should absolutely avoid is to not invest in your property. I mentioned that already, but it's absolutely critical that you see your property as an asset, a living, breathing asset that needs to be well maintained. I had a landlord with a property in Notting Hill, came down last year, did a complete renovation on that property, did the yard, we did the tile, did the kitchen, the baths, and that was so important to attract the next wave of tenants because we were seeing that tenants were actually having a lot of choice and not really picking up her property because a lot of tenants are looking for ultra modern, or if yours has character, they want to see true character, but they don't want things that look tired and forgotten. So I always advise my landlords to perhaps set 10% aside of the rental income that they're getting for maintenance issues, but also potential capital improvement, depending on how old that property is, because you're going to have to need to spend money over time to maintain that property. So what did you think of this video? I hope it was super helpful. Please leave me a comment below on other mistakes that you perhaps as a landlord have experienced that you might advise other landlords to avoid. Make sure to hit that like button so we can let YouTube know that I'm putting out great content. And don't forget to check out my other videos on the investment series that are in the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out the other videos on my YouTube channel where I share great things about the London property market and living in this incredible city. So that's Arinzeh with Onyx Property Team and Keller Williams. Bye for now.